What's up, beautiful ladies and handsome men? I am not sure what's true or false in this story. I take gossip, tea, rumor, and scandal from yesteryear, from online, from word of mouth, from books, and I ball it up and I tell you guys a story.
So my husband and I take our ritual vitamins every day, but then I thought I have a teen daughter. And not only that, my 7-year-old daughter needs her vitamins.
My 7-year-old does not love the idea of taking vitamins. The day was saved, baby, because they had ritual gummy vitamins just for kids. These vitamins are sugar-free. Oh, you know mama loves that. It supports normal immune function, brain health, bone health, and digestive health. It has a citrus berry flavor from lemon oil and raspberry extract and sweetened with monk fruit. This gummy was much different than the best-selling gummies on the market. It's vegan-friendly and boasts a 3-in-1 formula with fiber, omega-3 DHA, and Lord knows my baby need that because child, she ain't want to eat healthy food real quick.
Now, if you've been watching me, you'll already know that Ritual has exclusive multivitamins made for women, for men, but did y'all know that they break it down even further? Multivitamins for women 50 plus, men 50 plus. Postnatal, baby, the folks pretty much got everybody covered. And let's not forget their essential protein ranged vitamin.
And the best part is that it's only $1 a day to have any of these products delivered straight to your door every month.
Go to the link below and use my exclusive code to get you 20% off of your first month. So baby, we are about to talk about the very important issues that Ike and Tina faced that basically ruined their relationship. But child, before we do, honey, it's one rumor that I left off of the first video that I got to tell y'all right now. Now honey, listen at this. So when Ike was around 8 or 9 years old, he went through this spell of being really bad, like super bad, just always getting into stuff. As a matter of fact, gossip says that this one time he got into a fight with another boy in the neighborhood, and child, that boy slung Ike all around the place, child, just straight beat his behind. Ike was just doing some of everything, and he was always getting in trouble by his mama. She would always whoop his behind. Well, I guess Ike must have wanted to get his mama back or something like that, because child, listen to this mess. So honey, they say one day his mama had laid down for a nap. Ike was just kind of going around the house doing his own thing, but while he was doing whatever, he spotted the straightening comb or the hot comb. So Ike went and got the hot comb and he put it on the stove fire, and then he got some lard because he had seen his mama, you know, take the lard, put it in her hair, and then straighten her hair with the lard and the hot comb. Well, baby, I guess Ike had said, mama, your hair straightened, but you forgot about your TT. So this boy went to his sleeping mama, put the lard on her TT hair, child, and then went back and got the straightening comb and started trying to straighten comb his mama TT hair. Baby, I don't know exactly what happened next, but I imagine that woman was like, ah! But however she reacted, honey, it is said that she took Ike and she wore his behind out. But let's move on. So back to Ike and Tina's relationship, we are about to get into the important gossip and the things that you need to pay attention to explain why everything went left. So again, Ike and Tina are married. They now have bought their own home, and Ike's other children have come over. And in the past video, I said a family of 4, but actually it was going to be a family of 5. And this is what Tina believed because she expected for the dynamic between Ike and her to change. Because here's the deal. Even though Ike and Tina were married, their relationship was the exact same as it was when he was married to Lorraine. Tina is more of a friend than a wife, girlfriend, or lover. Gossip claims it's the same even down to the point where she gets other women to sleep with him. Matter of fact, some of the gossip out here claims that right before Ike and Tina got married, but when they were still Ike and Tina, like basically the A Fool in Love song had just taken off pretty much. It's claimed that Tina and Ike were participating in orgies together. And even messier than that, baby, some folks said that Ike and Tina was out here pimping girls together. Baby said that Tina was Ike's bottom B and that she would smack a B quickly if they didn't bring back Ike's money. Child, some of the real messy gossip alleges that Tina might have done some tricky type stuff herself. Now again, this was said to have happened right when Ike and Tina kind of became Ike and Tina, or a so-called item. And it's claimed that they did a lot of this stuff for money. As far as the pimping stuff, it's claimed that they did a lot of this stuff for money because although A Fool in Love was traveling up the charts and everything, it just started getting there, so they needed money. Well, that was then and this is now, and now they are married. And let's say this is probably about 6 to 9 months along after they have gotten married. Well, although Tina was kind of doing some of those iffy things at the beginning of their marriage and right before they got married, now 6 to 9 months along, she is expecting the dynamic to change. She feels like she's done everything that Ike asked her to do. She's done more than enough. And because she did that stuff, along with the fact that she pretty much is a big part of why they're famous anyway, Tina expects for Ike to change. She expects for him to say, "Tina, darling, I love you. Thank you so much for pretty much letting me have my freedom and do what I wanted. Thank you so much for helping me build this incredible band. Thank you so much for being in my corner, for being so loyal to me. Now I love you, darling. You are the only one. You know what I mean? You are my wife. I'm about to be faithful. I'm about to be loyal. You are the moon." Well, the folks say that Ike was on a totally different page. Matter of fact, he didn't even know this Tina or this side of Tina existed. The woman that he married was Little Ann. She was the woman who was his best friend. She was the woman who was cool with Ike cheating. Heck, back then she even helped him cheat on Lorraine. She was the woman who would say stuff like, shoot, I don't know what Lorraine mad at. I mean, you Ike Turner, you got the kings of rhythm. She should expect women to throw themselves at you, Ike. She was the woman who always saw everything Ike's way. So clearly, Ike expected Tina to still be this way once they got married or whatever they were. And it didn't help that in his mind, the marriage wasn't really real anyway. Also, he'd never really shown any kind of true love or romance for Tina. Yes, they had banged more than a few times, but he's never professed any love for her in that way. As a matter of fact, once again, the most that Ike possibly looked at Tina, even at this time, was maybe a friend, a sister, or better yet, probably more accurately, was a great friend with benefit. Oh, and let's not forget, a good business partner. You have a huge misunderstanding between the two people, or better yet, a huge disconnect. Well, gossip claims because of this disconnect, resentment starts to grow inside of Tina a little bit. Now, she does well to hide it in the beginning, such as when Ike and Thomas comes into their life. Tina tries to act like she is cool with just Ike being Ike, so much so that she ends up basically becoming a sister wife to Ann Thomas. But over time, things start to break down this act, and of course it does. No woman can hide her true feelings, so things start to break down this act, especially when she notices that Ike has serious feelings for Ann Thomas. As a matter of fact, a lot of people would go as far as to say that Ike Turner loved Ann Thomas, and I'm talking about in love. If he would have had it his way, Ann Thomas would have been his wife. And Tina is not oblivious to this. She is basically seeing all of this. Ike treats Ann Thomas in a way that he's never done for Tina. He's doing some serious, real flirting with Ann Thomas, the same type of flirting that a young boy would do with a girl that he really liked. He's saying things just to see Ann Thomas smile, staring at her when she's not looking, telling her she's beautiful. And Ike really did believe that she was beautiful. It's claimed that he said numerous times that Ann Thomas was more beautiful than Tina Turner. Like I said in the Tina Turner video, don't know about all that, but Ike thought so. And per word on the streets, one of the big instances that kind of blew the lid off of everything was when Tina walked in on Ike and Ann having sex. Now, Tina knew that Ike had been having sex with Ann Thomas. That's not what it was. It was what she saw, though, when she mistakenly walked through the door. This is passionate lovemaking. I'm talking about kissing Ann Thomas everywhere, in each and every crevice of her body, staring deeply into her eyes, petting her, stroking her, making love to her as if he truly cared for her. This right here hurt Tina and angered her to no end. The folks say that Ike had never done this to her. As a matter of fact, their lovemaking, or if you could call it that, was very much quite mechanical. You know what I mean? It was very wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And it certainly didn't have any real passion. And so supposedly this, amongst other reasons, allegedly this is what set Tina off to basically a different attitude. So now when Ike says, "Hey, Lil' Ann, come here. Hey, go get that girl with the big booty for me," Tina either tells him off or rolls her eyes and walks away without saying anything. It's not fun anymore when Ike tells her to cook and bring him some food at 3 o'clock in the morning, or to run across town for this, or to do this for the band. That's no longer fun. So suddenly little Ann or Tina is walking around with a frown all the time, or she's just not talking to nobody. You know what I'm saying? She keeping her distance, she quiet, or she's just walking around looking plain sad. I mean, eyes just sitting up there big and always welled with tears, like she's about to burst out crying at any moment all the time. And this is where the mixed psychology comes into play, because Ike is taken aback by this. He does not understand why she's being like this. She used to be so fun. And although over time Ike started to realize that it was the women that was bothering Tina, at first he really didn't know what was wrong. And Tina never told him in that beginning time, because she felt like, well, Ike, you should know me better than that. Like you should be able to figure out that I'm hurt, that you're bringing these women around. You should be able to figure this stuff out. I'm your wife. And because Tina feels like Ike should just be able to figure it out, and he's totally clueless of the real reason that she feels this way, when he asks her, Anime, what's wrong with you? Like the skit we did in the beginning. You was just having a good time. What's wrong with you? Why you looking so mad? Why you looking so sad? Why you won't talk to nobody? What's wrong with you? And Tina continuously says, nothing. Ain't nothing wrong. Nothing, Ike. Nothing's wrong. Or even if she says it without an attitude, nothing's wrong. It's cool. But you're still running around with the same face. So Ike, who has no idea how to handle his emotions, let alone Tina's emotion, reacts violently because he does not understand what is wrong with her. In his eyes, she's basically ungrateful. In his eyes, she's not appreciative. He made her Tina Turner. Her life is easy. All she has to do is get on stage and sing her song. Everybody loves her. She gets to go shopping whenever she wants. He's the one that's going through hell. He's the one that has to do all of the work. He's the one that has to make sure everybody in the band eat. He's the one who has to deal with the promoters, especially the janky ones that halfway don't want to pay. He's the one that has to try to find or get people to book them for engagement. He's the one handling the stage lights, making sure everybody looks okay. He's the one that picks out outfits for the band, and gossip claims that he even picked out outfits for the Ikeettes a lot of times, most of the time. Baby, these folks is out here saying that Ike even choreographed a lot of the Ikeettes dances. So the man is handling everything. I'm talking about everything is on him. And so he really truly could not understand what could possibly be wrong in Tina's eye, especially with her changing suddenly from this little Ann. So now it comes to when he asks her what's wrong and she says nothing, and he asks her maybe 2 or 3 more times and she continues to say nothing, Ike slaps her because he is frustrated. And at this moment, she is basically just here to make his life harder. Which walking around with this nasty attitude, she mad, she doing all this, but she has no worries in the world. And she just basically, does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining this good to you guys. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? So, he's frustrated and he feels like she's trying to do that on purpose. And this is not an excuse. Definitely not for me, not an excuse, but I'm trying to give you the psychology behind it. Ike was not just slap you, punch you. That's not what he was. That's not what was going on with him. He was a person that did not understand emotions. He certainly didn't understand what Tina was talking about, and it kind of made him lash out. And so when he would hit Tina, she would also explode in frustration. She would also explode in emotion, because in her mind, you ain't even loving me right. You cheating on me, and now you hitting me too. So it would turn into epic brawl. And again, this is what I was trying to convey with the skit in the beginning of my video, but you know who else was trying to convey this point? Ike Turner himself got on camera and tried to convey this point. If you guys watch my Tina Turner video, do y'all remember when I said that Ike had done that interview? Did y'all go watch it? And he's sitting up there talking about she and would walk around looking sad, and I would say, what's wrong with you, Ann? And then she'd say, nothing, and I would slap her like that. If you guys haven't seen that interview, please go watch that interview in the description. But anyway, so yes, I tried to explain this, but Ike does not know how to talk. He's a very shy man, first of all. He does not do public speaking well. He does not know how to get his point across as eloquently as, say, me, really? You know what I'm saying? If y'all got that point I was trying to explain, well, Ike didn't know how to explain it that way. so he came across as looking like a monster and idiotic. And so the problems of Ike and Tina's relationships boiled down to a woman that tried to do things to make a man love her, and he did not find her attractive like that. I did love Tina. He did love her, but he was not in love with her. And so what happens is that you have this bitterness that sets in early in the relationship. You have these two people that think and feel a certain way in the relationship and how the relationship is supposed to be, and they are not compromising. And so you end up with this love-hate thing where each of them feel like the other one is trying to give them a hard time, is trying to frustrate them. All of this, everything explained thus far, turned their relationship into a toxic relationship that devolved to the pits of hell. Especially the fact that when I did realize that Tina was upset over these other women and that she wanted him to stop that, he wouldn't stop. Do you know why? Because why? Why do you want me to stop? You was just cool with this. You knew the kind of man that I was, Tina. You knew what kind of man I was. You helped me, Tina. Why do you want me to change? I'm not changing. Nope, I'm not changing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who it is. This is who you marry. He never gave in to what she wanted. Never became the man she wanted him to become. So again, this made their relationship very, very toxic and hellish. And with Ike doing this, now it got to the point where Tina was actively busting him upside the head. And what would happen is that sometimes she would just get wrapped up in all of her emotion. You know, she gets to thinking about everything I let you do to me, how loyal I've been to you. I have given you years of my life that I could have given to somebody else. And most of all, I'm just plain frustrated that you continue parading these women in front of me, that you continue always looking for a new woman to sleep with. Why am I not enough? As a matter of fact, this is most likely one of the things that happened that led to the story that Judge Joe Brown told. And if you don't know that story, gossip claims that Judge Joe Brown's aunt lived next to a house that either Ike and Tina lived in or Ike and Tina was visiting. Whatever the case, when Judge Joe Brown was a very young boy, he visited that aunt's house and he saw Ike outside planting flowers, having a green thumb. Well, out of nowhere, Tina comes running out of the house, ranting and raving like a mad woman, picked up a rake and bust Ike upside the head. And Ike was like, Tina. I don't know if he said that, but it seemed like something I would have done. Well, anyways, the story says that Judge Joe Brown claimed that Tina did this because she was upset that Ike was supposed to be working on some music and he was not. But it's likely that that's something that Judge Joe Brown was told or what he thought when he was younger or something. But it's likely the real reason behind it was that she was having one of these emotional episodes. And apparently she would have several of these where she would just get in her head, you know, I hate you for hurting me like this. I hate you for doing me like this. Kapow! And since Ike would not give in to Tina by leaving his lovers alone, Tina, it's claimed, would do things to get up under his skin, do things where she would try to aggravate him. There's one story about the time that Ike spent $4,000 on a feather dress for Tina to wear on stage. He told her specifically, don't touch this dress, don't wear this dress. I want it to be a surprise when you go out on stage looking this fabulous. Everybody's gonna love it. Well, child, the folks say Tina took the dress the next day, put it on, and went all in public with it, child. Just went shopping and everywhere. Everybody saw the dress. Well, Ike bust her upside the head for this. They started fighting. Then you got the story about when they were supposedly in a rehearsal or something like that, but the babysitter who was keeping the children called them and told Ike that, hey, I gotta go, I got an emergency. So Ike told Tina that she could leave, but she needed to go straight home because the children are there by themselves. Well, Tina was like, okay, Ike, and proceeded to leave, and child went to the movie theater, said she saw about 2 or 3 movies, went shopping once again, just was all out about town. And then when she finally did go home, Ike asked her, what are you doing? What are you thinking? I told you to go home with the kids. Well, shoot, I don't have to come straight home. If you can sit up there and be out there with these females, baby, I can be out there doing what I want to do too. Pop! Ike bust upside the head. Again, they're fighting. Then you got the rumor where they were actually on stage during a show, and Ike told Tina that he wanted her to sing this song a certain way exclusively. Stick to this. This is how I want you to sing the song. Tina gets on stage and she sings the song a totally different way. Gossip claims Ike was all behind her, trying to get her attention and all this kind of stuff, and then started yelling her name, trying to speak over the music. Baby, them folks said Tina jerked back and looked at him, did her shoulders 3 times like this, and then slung her long wig all in his face and started dancing all across the stage. Got backstage, Ike bust upside the head, and they got to fighting over this. And so again, with all of this and with them actively fighting each other and busting each other upside the head, again, gossip claims that their fights became legendary. As a matter of fact, somebody left in a comment, I believe it was actually on the Tina Turner video, they left in a comment how their uncle or granddaddy or something was backstage with Ike and Tina, and the dressing room door was closed, and Ike and Tina was just going at it. I mean, they were fighting, stuff was getting broke, it was a whole bunch of yelling, whatever. Well, the dressing room door opens up, and Tina comes out straightening her hair and, you know, fixing her dress, and walks on out to the stage. Well, when they go in looking for Ike, he's laid out on the floor, knocked out cold.
I just want to make something clear, y'all. Per gossip, yes, there were many times where Ike hit Tina and she did not do anything back. I don't want you guys to get the idea that every single fight was both of them fighting. That was majority of the fights per gossip, but there certainly were times where Ike would hit Tina and she did not fight back. Let's get back to it.
But here's the thing, although Ike and Tina were in a toxic relationship, it was not all bad. Just like toxic relationships of people you know today. People where they fight, but it's not always fighting. There are good times, which is why a lot of them can't pull away. Now, regarding Ike and Tina, most likely the reason Ike couldn't pull away was because they had a successful duo going on and he didn't want to do anything to shake that. But for Tina, she loved this man. So, you know, even though there was toxic times, there were good times. There were laughs, there was sex. Sometimes they would still find themselves staying up all night talking about the music, their loves in the world, just like old times. It was told to me that you have to look at this like a real relationship. You have to take the movie out of your head, you have to take books or whatever out of your head, and you have to look at it like a real relationship. These are real people. But gossip did say that most of the times those good times that they were having would be ruined by Ike because he would not give up his other women. And then, when they started bringing in real money, he started to buy for those other women. And if Tina frowned up her face or got mad or complained or anything like that, once again, he could throw up in her face that you didn't mind when I did it to Lorraine for you. And speaking on Ike giving gifts, gossip claims that Ike was a wonderful-hearted guy when it came to helping people. And not only that, the gossip claims that he was a man of his word, especially to the people who were in his circle. There's this one story about Ike and Tina being on the road and they stayed in a hotel. And when the morning came, the housekeeper came in and she thought Ike and Tina were going to their show or rehearsal or whatever. So she gets in the room and she starts, like, you know, trying on Tina's clothes. Not really trying them on, but like holding them up to her. She picks up Tina's wigs and she starts dancing around and, you know, hey, you know, just having fun. Well, Ike and Tina are kind of like peeking up from under the cover just looking at this lady. And they are giggling and laughing to each other. And then Ike finally says, "Hey, ma'am, is there anything we can help you with, ma'am?" Child, that woman took off, didn't even take off the wig, child, but it was still standing in the air because it fell off when she ran away. That woman was gone. Later on that day, Ike was talking to a male employee of the hotel and he was telling him about the incident, but he was laughing about it. Well, this male employee went and told management and got that housekeeper fired. Gossip claims that when Ike found out about this a little while later, he found that lady, contacted her, and sent her $15,000 to hold her over until she found another job because he never meant to get her fired. Then gossip claims that Ike ended up running into Louis Jordan. And Louis Jordan, of course, was the famous jazz musician from back in the day. Well, when Ike saw him, it's claimed that Louis Jordan was doing a gig where he was only making $10. And the folks say that this hurt Ike so bad that he actually went to a room by himself and started crying. He hated the situation that Louis Jordan was in because this was a man that he remembers being on TV, a man that he remembers being very famous. Everybody loved him. And so Ike took it upon himself to find out that the reason Louis was getting ripped off so badly is because the booking agent was taking money from off top before Louis even got paid. Well, Ike researched and found out that this was against the law. In the end, he writes a letter and going to the president's office of that booking agent. And basically, to sum it up, what it says is that I know what you're doing to Louis Jordan. I understand that you've been taking a lot of money off the top from him for all of these years. I'm going to go to the news about this and I'm going to go to the authorities about this because this is wrong and this is illegal. Well, when the president looks up from the letter at Ike, Ike basically tells him, yes, I'm going to do what that letter says, unless you write Louis Jordan a check for $20,000. And it's claimed that the president wrote a check for $20,000 and that check was sent to Louis, and Louis Jordan never knew who got that check sent to him. Ike never revealed himself. On top of that, he bought a lot of people cars. Like, he really gave out a lot of money. He really helped a lot of people. Well, gossip claims that Tina was the exact opposite. Honey, there are more than a few stories out here talking about how stingy she was and how nasty she was. One story on the street basically talks about how Ike and Tina employed a secretary, I do believe, and the secretary kept missing important calls, or she forget to tell Ike about these important calls. So it was decided that they needed to let her go. Well, in the meeting set to fire this woman, Ike tells her, okay, you know what? We do have to let you go, but I'm gonna give you $10,000, just to help you along until you find another job. Well, the woman, basically trying to be virtuous, I guess you would say, told Ike and Tina, no, I couldn't ask for you guys to do anything like that. I messed up. I can't ask you to give me that large sum of money. And Ike was about to say, no, take the money. He was about to say it, but as soon as he said no, Tina cut in and said, right. I'm glad you understand. And child, I bet that woman wish she would have shut her doggone mouth, because baby, she walked out of there without that doggone money. Then it's claimed that she also used to always tell Ike stuff like, why are you giving them money? Like, you don't feel like they're using you? Not only this, not only about the money, gossip claims that Tina Turner was nasty to a lot of people anyway. There's another story that allegedly came from Judge Joe Brown, where he tells some type of story where Tina was standing in line at a store, and I believe a lady was standing behind her, and I think the lady tried to speak to Tina. I think she was a fan, and Tina turns around and was like, B, stop trying to talk to me. Who are you? Do you know who I am? Don't talk to me. I don't got nothing for you. Or something of that effect. She talked to a lot of people like they were beneath her, below her. She did not have time for many people. But what gossip claims really had happened is that bitterness had set inside of her. That bitterness that she had to Ike had really set inside of her and just changed her into a bitter, rude, nasty woman. Now, to get back into their relationship talk, after a while, Ann Thomas gets pregnant. And gossip claims that Ann Thomas leaves and goes to live with her family. And the folks say that this was a real relief for Tina. You know what I mean? Like, her and Ike were not doing great, but she was glad that it was just her and him. Well, this relief was short-lived, because soon after that, Ike ends up meeting a woman named Gloria. And this Gloria was a beautiful Spanish woman that Ike was said to have fallen deeply in love with. And she was more of a threat to Tina than Ann Thomas ever was, because Gloria was not in the band. She was not an Ikeette. She was not anything. So whereas other people that Ike had messed around with was actually doing something for him, or he was getting something out of it regarding the music or the band, Gloria was not doing any of that. She was just a outside lady on the street that he was doing stuff for because he had fallen in love with. And I'm talking about doing big things for her, like buying her new wardrobes, even bought her an Italian car, baby. And the folks on the street say that Tina was furious about that. I mean, fury. And so Ike used to leave the house all the time and spend basically every waking second with this Gloria lady. He was always with her. So gossip claims that one night Ike and Tina had to perform, and Tina was sort of happy that she and Ike could be together. You know what I'm saying? So they were getting ready to leave the house, and Tina came up to him and she was like, Ike, go ahead and get ready because we got to be at the theater at this certain time. And Ike told her, I'm not coming. And it's claimed that Tina started to say, come on now, Ike, I hate performing without you. Come on, it's Ike and Tina. Come with me. He told her he was not coming. And this upset Tina very much. And after she kept asking, finally, she just said, okay, kissed Ike on the forehead, and she got in her car and she drove away. Well, about 30 minutes after she left, Ike started feeling this dreadful feeling. It was just something in him that something was not right. And so he jumped in his own car and he drove up to where the venue was. When he gets there, he starts asking everybody, where's Tina? Where's Tina? All the Ikeettes, all the Kings of Rhythm, whatever their name was, just asking people, where's Tina? And people start saying, well, she's in the dressing room. When Ike gets to the dressing room and goes inside of the door, he sees Tina, eyes rolling in the back of her head, almost convulsing, and Ike is like, what did you take? What did you take? And yes, Tina had overdosed on sleeping pills. So Ike picks her up and he drives her to the hospital. And yes, this is the suicide attempt that was portrayed in the movie. And gossip claims that no, Ike did not tell her, if you die, B, I'ma kill you. If you die, I'ma kill you. He did not say that, but he did say something else. And this is not verbatim, but gossip claims he says something similar to like, And you're doing all this, all you're doing is causing us to have more hospital bills. That's all you're doing. This is another major hospital bill. You know, if you're really serious about killing yourself, if you really want to take the easy way out, you really want to do it, go jump off a bridge, little Ann. And it was absolutely harsh. That is very harsh. I would probably be dead inside if somebody responded to my suicide attempt like that. But gossip claims that Ike did respond this way, but the reason he did respond this way is because Tina had tried to commit suicide at least 2 or 3 other times. There is this tale out there about in Berlin, Germany, I think that's where it was, where she took a whole bunch of sleeping pills there and they had to rush her to the hospital to get her stomach pumped. So what I'm trying to say is that Ike started to look at this as a attention seeking. And the sad part about it is that, yeah, it kind of was. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that Tina probably wanted to die because she was so depressed and so frustrated, but it also definitely was an attention grab. She wanted Ike's attention. She wanted him to pay attention to her, to love her. At least show me you care when I'm about to die. Doggone it, sir. Do you care at all? But Ike disappointed her once again. Even after this suicide attempt, Ike and Tina were still in their relationship and still on the same mess. And then one night something happened that finally opened Ike's eyes to just how bad him running around with these women was hurting Tina. And gossip claims that Ike and Tina were at home and Ike was running around putting on his sharpest clothes. He was putting on his cologne because he was on his way out to see one of his side chicks. Well, Tina did not say anything. You know, she did not try to stop him. She just was like, you know, Ike being Ike. So he ended up leaving, but when he was halfway down the street, something gripped his heart. And so he turns around and he rushes home. He goes in the house and he's like, Ann. He ends up going into a bedroom and sliding back the closet door, and there is Tina in the dark closet in the corner, balled up, basically in a fetal position, crying her eyes out. I mean, she is shaking, she is shivering, her heart is breaking into pieces. When Ike saw this, there was a dagger that went into his own heart. His own heart broke and he had a terrible feeling. He felt so bad that he knelt down beside her and he took her in his arms and brought her up to the bed and started holding her and rocking her and stroking her head. And he was just telling her, I'm sorry, Ann, I'm sorry that I can't be the man that you want me to be. I'm sorry that I'm not who you're looking for. I love you, but I'm sorry. And so after this episode, Ike and Tina did grow very close. They started going out on dinner dates together. He started taking her and the children to the movies. You know, he would take her on shopping sprees where he was with her. He was spending a lot more time with her. And gossip claims that the whole time that they were spending all this time together, Tina was sitting up there threatening to leave the whole time. You know what I'm saying? She would just do things that, you know, I guess she was trying to scare him. I don't know why females act like that, but I guess she was trying to scare Ike, you know what I'm saying? Because now I guess she was feeling, now you finally love me now. Well, now I'm not too sure about this. You know, stuff like that. Well, whatever the case, I did do this because he cared for Tina. One of the major things he did, though, was that he stopped cheating in front of her face. You know what I'm saying? So he at least stopped doing that for her because he didn't want to hurt her on that level. So there was some care and concern for her there. But again, he was not in love with her. She was not going to be, oh, you're everything. But he did try to do more things to make her happy. Well, this may have been good for them. You know what I'm saying? They may have really could have gone on and made some kind of life, even though Ike hadn't stopped sleeping with the other people, you know. But what happened is something ruined it, and that was somebody introduced Ike Turner to cocaine. And regarding the gossip on the drugs, there is some gossip out on these streets that Ike and Tina both were doing drugs very heavily at one point. It's claimed that Tina was on drugs at one point, but from the person that talked to me on this video, they said that Tina didn't do drugs like that. So I don't know. But I heard, just like some of y'all out there, that Tina did do drugs with Ike. So I don't know. But whatever the case, like I said, the late 1960s, Ike Turner had ended up getting on cocaine. And then in the year 1970, he ended up building his crown jewel. And that was his studio, Bolic Sound. And this studio was out of this world. It was definitely the Taj Mahal of Inglewood. And this thing was really something something else. It was almost like a spaceship inside. You know what I mean? It had hidden rooms and staircases and then doors that automatically slid up, and you had to have certain passcodes to get into certain doors, and it had like 3 floor levels, had 2-way mirrors. As a matter of fact, gossip claims this studio was probably about $1.2 million. So it was really like a James Bond type setup. And baby, the folks say that it was a cesspool in that studio, honey. Gossip claims it was straight raunch that went down off up in there. Baby, them folks say that Ike Turner would have several women in that studio, making love to many of them at one time. Not only Ike, any of the other celebs that came in there, they got involved with the orgy shenanigans as well. Well, child, listen at this, honey, because there is one story that stands out. So anyways, it's claimed that Ike is very high on cocaine, and he is in the room with one other dude and 2 females. So Ike is just laid back on the bed. He is high out of his mind. Well, soon he starts getting some throaty bodie that is on point, honey. I'm talking about very, very good. The person gotta be a goatee. And so he's like, ooh, you know, and his eyes starts to slowly open up, and he starts looking. Child, they said when Ike's eyes adjusted, baby, they said it was all kind of naked TTs, booty, breasts, and everything running all across that room. Baby, they said when Ike's eyes adjusted, it was that man down there, child. Honey, they said Ike went from saying, ooh, yeah, that's good, to I'ma kill you. Them women and that man ran out of that room butt naked so doggone fast, child, and said Ike was right behind them. Then there's this story around about Ike and the Kings of Rhythm or Review or whatever you want to call them, and supposedly they were all sitting in the studio. They were all just doing cocaine, smoking weed, doing some of everything, and they were all just talking. And so they got on the conversation of their women, and some of the members were saying, man, you know what, my woman just like Tina. The same way Tina let you have any woman you want or do whatever you want, my wife the same way. And so Ike is like, really? Yeah, man, yeah. What you think? I rule their household. She do what I tell her to do. So anyways, 3 days later, he invites them back, and once they get in there, they're getting ready for rehearsal or whatever, and Ike is like, no, we ain't doing none of that today. I got a surprise for y'all. Go upstairs. So all the guys go upstairs, and there is a line of groupies. These guys are getting pleasure by these women. They are doing something to everything. Well, what they didn't know is that in every room that they were in, Ike had installed a secret camera. And so after they finished dapping hands and all this kind of stuff, gossip claims that Ike said something to the effect of, you know, oh yeah, y'all had a good time? Well, that's good, man, because I can't wait to show y'all wives, and you know, who knows, maybe they'll even get off on the foot. Baby, they say them men got the bumbling up at the lips, dropping to the knees, crying and begging and everything, child. Lips just floppy. Ike, please, Ike, please don't tell. Regarding the time period of Ike's infamous studio and he and Tina's relationship, although it is claimed that Tina sometimes did come to the studio, and there's even rumors out here that says that she participated in some of these orgies at the studio. Those rumors right there in particular, I truly don't believe, simply because the way it was put to me, this was another thing that Ike was doing to keep the affairs away from Tina. So he didn't have to parade those women in front of her face. He would be at the studio doing all of his nasty work. The problem is that he just about completely abandoned her at home with the children while he was doing all of his stuff at the studio, because he was always there doing drugs and messing around with women. And then something ended up happening. All of this time away from Ike started to change some feelings inside of Tina. She was still in love with him. She did still want to be with him, but it was just not as strong really as it used to be. In fact, their marriage was over in 1976. Well, in 1975, it's gossip out here that says that Tina actually cheated on Ike. Now, baby, the folks say that Tina had started going to see a psychic. And this psychic told her that she would leave Ike for a man that was foreign, and this man would have a pond in his front yard. And that's how Tina would know that this was the man she was supposed to leave Ike for. Well, in 1975, Tina ended up appearing in a movie called Tommy as the Acid Queen. And the shooting for this movie was taking place in Europe. Well, one of the men that was working with her on this movie, his name was Robert Stigwood. The folks say that Tina got over there to Europe and found out that Robert Stigwood had a pond in his front yard. Baby said she did that man exactly the same way she did Ike all those years ago. Constantly up in his face, constantly trying to have a conversation. baby said that Tina would be all in that doggone man ear, and said one time she finally told him that he could have her any way he wanted her. Child, the folks say that Robert Stigwood was speaking all kind of foreign languages in that doggone bedroom. Well, anyways, I'm not sure how long or how many times they carried on like this, but when it was time to finish shooting for the movie, Tina went back to the United States, and she fully expected to receive a call from Robert Stigwood soon telling her to come over there. He wants to marry her now. And when that call never came, Tina started calling him. The secretary would tell her, he's not in right now, all the time blowing her off. And then it finally dawned on Tina that this was not her guy. Again, this is all alleged, this is all gossip, but these are the rumors on the street. So this is what I mean. That space between she and Ike had really started to, grow on Tina. She started to kind of come into her own and kind of looking for things outside of him. And then what most people feel like really sealed the deal is that allegedly sometime in 1975 or early 1976, Ann Thomas and her daughter ended up moving back in the house with Tina, or you could say Ike and Tina, but Ike was never there. And gossip claims that Tina did play a sister wife. She did it all over again. Her and Ann Thomas would cook and eat together. They would go shopping together. But at this point, it was all really just an act for Tina, or she was just going through the motions now. Her heart was not really in this anymore. And then on July 4th, 1976, Tina was just done. And so on that day, Ike, Ann Thomas, and Tina, and I think another guy, I don't know what his name was, but they had been together that whole day, riding in the back of a limousine. Ike, who had been snorting cocaine this whole time, ended up having a nosebleed. Not only that, he was having really bad pain. He was like, Ann, talking to Tina, give me a tissue. She wouldn't give it to him, so somebody else ended up giving him the tissue. So then Ike starts again. What's wrong with you, Ann? I asked you to give me a piece of tissue. Ain't nothing wrong with me, Ike. I'm okay. What you mean ain't nothing wrong with you? Like my nose is in a lot of pain. I asked you to give me some tissue. And gossip claims that when Ike said my nose is in a lot of pain, Tina did something like, kind of laughed at him. Well, this aggravated Ike, and so he reached over and slapped her. And all gloves were off. Honey, they said Ike was still kind of leaned over Tina from where he had hit her. Baby, they said Tina kicked that leg back and boom, kicked him back into the chair. Ike flew back like this. Tina crawled on top of him like a little gremlin and put her knee in his chest. Her knee was right here. She was on top of him. And baby, they said that she just started wailing on him. I'm talking about hard punches. I mean, busting him all upside his head. Well, this startled Ike. This was not like any of the fights that they had. Like, Tina was actually like really beating his behind this time. And so Ike pushed her off of him, and he actually punched her this time. And gossip claims that this was the only time that Ike actually punched Tina with a closed fist. And so he punched her, and so they are fighting, and Tina is getting the best of him. Well, it's claimed that while Tina was on top and she was just wailing on him and fighting, when she just started crying, burst down in tears, and she was like, I loved you, you won't never find nobody like me, you'll never find nobody that's loyal to you like me, you'll never find another one, Ike. And said the whole time, Ike is like, F you, I don't need you, F you, basically trying to dodge her, telling her, F her, I don't need you. And so they end up pulling up to a hotel, and Tina is like, you'll never find nobody like me. You'll never find nobody that's loyal to you, that stayed down for you like me. You'll never find her again. But they all end up getting out of the limo, going into the hotel. Ike ends up taking a nap, and Tina goes straight back to the bedroom. Well, when Ike wakes up, Tina has fled. And this again is when things differ from how it was put in the movie. The movie made it seem like Tina left because of the abuse. Gossip claims that that was not it at all. Tina left because she was a scorned woman. As a matter of fact, gossip claims that 2 weeks after Tina left, her lawyer sent Ike a letter. And in this letter, I'm not going to say it verbatim because I don't know it verbatim, but the gist of the letter said, "Hello, Mr. Ike Turner. This is on behalf of Mrs. Tina Turner. She is seeking a divorce. She says that she wants all business affairs to stay the same. She still wants to perform on stage with you. She wants you to handle all of the finances. Everything exactly the same. The only thing that she wants to change is that when she's off the performance stage, she's no longer known as Tina Turner. She does not want to be your wife in regular life in public anymore. She wants to go back to Anna Mae Bullock. Do you know the reason why? And this is where you can tell she a scorned woman. because she is tired of being embarrassed, of being known as Miss Tina Turner, your wife, when you are pulling up to these concerts and these venues with 4 other groupie women that you are sleeping with. That is an embarrassment to Miss Turner, so she don't want to hold your last name anymore. She wants a divorce. Essentially, what Tina Turner was doing was the equivalent of a woman on Facebook that is married, found out her husband was cheating, and she changes her name on Facebook. Her last name has gone back to her maiden name, honey, because you ain't finna be embarrassing her in public like that. But Ike Turner would not accept these terms. And apparently Tina didn't accept it either, because she didn't push for anything, because even though she left in 1976, they did not divorce until 1978. Well, gossip claims that after Ike got that letter, that he and Tina started playing cat and mouse game. It said that there's one time that she called him at his studio and she was like, "Hello, Ike." And he was like, "Where you at, woman? Anime, where you at?" And she was like, "I'm not telling you where I'm at because I'm just not doing this anymore." And Ike was like, "You ain't got to tell me where you at. I'ma find you, Ann. Don't you know that?" And true enough, he did find her. He sent some private investigator out and found the exact address she was at, and then called her back and was like, "I know where you at. Why you sitting up there trying to play games with me?" Then, like a week after that, so probably about 4 weeks after they had initially split, or she initially left, she and Ike went out on a date. And the folks say that they had a great time. They went to some restaurant, they ate, they laughed, talked about old times, everything was good, and it really seemed like they would get back together, but Tina was not going back unless there was an assurance that she would be the only one for Ike, that he would stop all that stuff. And Ike would not give in to that, and so they didn't end up getting back together. And so this would be the last time, if not one of the last times, of Tina and Ike hanging out on a face-to-face level. And while being away from Ike and kind of doing her own thing, Tina got in contact with other people in the business. People who started telling her that we can make you a star by yourself. You are Tina Turner. You still have a lot of clout. Like this whole business of losing your name, telling me you want to be Anime, that crap is stupid, ma'am. You need to be Tina Turner. Don't nobody know who Anime is. Go ahead and change your name back to Anime Bullock. You're going to be sitting out there looking dumb because, no, ma'am. So we can make you a star as Tina Turner. You don't need Ike. So all of this stuff in her ear made it to where in 1978, Tina Turner was singing a different tune. Now she definitely wanted her divorce, and when it was time for divorce court, she said she only wanted her name. She wanted nothing else, none of the finances, none of any of that. I could have it all. She just wanted to keep her name Tina Turner. And a lot of people feel like, oh, this is so admirable. She only wanted to keep her name. She's just gonna go out there in the world by herself, blah, blah, blah. But no, child. Gossip claims that Tina Turner had lawyers that was running circles around Ike Turner's lawyers. And the real messy gossip claims that somehow Tina's lawyers got access to Ike's financial books and his financial records, and they found that Ike Turner really didn't have any money because Ike Turner owed debts to the IRS as well as certain groups of people that outweighed the money he was taking in. So really, ma'am, your financial status will be the same as his, which is broke, because you will owe some of this stuff. The best thing to do is leave all that stuff with him. So anyways, the divorce is finalized in 1978, but Ike and Tina do not just drop contact like that. They don't talk as much, but child, there's folks out here saying that Ike and Tina were actually still in contact all the way up to 1984, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But anyway, after Ike and Tina were officially done with their marriage, gossip claims that Ike Turner started hanging out heavy with Chaka Khan, with some rumors even saying that he slept with Chaka Khan. Whether he slept with Chaka Khan or not, the main reason that they were hanging out so tough was, one, because of drugs, and for two, because Ike wanted to turn Chaka Khan into the next Tina Turner. In fact, Ike was going around telling everybody that Chaka Khan sang better than Tina Turner. But Chaka Khan did not have the dance moves. Baby, they said Ike told Chaka to get out there and dance and try to dance like Tina. Baby, they said Chaka was out there looking like a weeble wobble child. Ike said, never mind. And along with Chaka Khan, gossip claims that he also tried to make Natalie Cole the next Tina Turner, but for whatever the reason, that didn't pan out either. In fact, Ike would never again find somebody who would stick with him and to bring him success on the level of Tina. And without Tina, Ike found himself lonely, depressed, and yes, broke, because it was true that he owed a lot of money. He started defaulting on contracts, record deals that he had signed to put out future music because he no longer had Tina. By 1980, Ike was at his lowest. And then in 1981, his crown jewel, his studio, got burned down. And baby, you know this was a scandalous thing, child, because gossip claims that somebody that knew that the insurance had just lapsed, maybe like a month before, because Ike was too broke to pay it. Somebody who knew that their insurance had just lapsed burnt that studio down. And then even more scandalous than that is Ike was inside of Bolic Sound when the studio fire started. And it's claimed that the fire was started on the outside, right by the wall that was Ike's bedroom. Like, Ike's bedroom was on the inside, well, on the outside wall, right on the back of that wall, that's where the fire and the fire accelerant was put. That's where it started. So gossip claims that, you know, it was very possible that somebody was possibly trying to kill Ike. And baby, y'all already know what I said in the Tina Turner video, child. Baby, this messy old Hollywood street said that wherever Tina Turner was, that she was running around smelling like some doggone gasoline. And then y'all in the comments, messier than that, talking about some, that's around the time when Tina was running around talking about some burn, baby, burn, disco inferno. Now that his studio was burned down, Ike truly had absolutely no money coming in. Because he had no money, he had to go to cheaper drugs, which meant that Ike started doing crack. Nothing in this world is going right for Ike, and all of these thoughts come crashing down on his shoulders. And gossip claims that he goes to his house one night and he sits on his bed and he pulls out a gun and puts it to his head. He closes his eyes and pulls the trigger and the gun jams. And that was a great thing, but child, the messy folks on the street say that when that man opened his doggone eyes, he wasn't on his bed no more, honey. He was on the ground. Child, they said the bed and the house was gone, taken from up under him, taken by the IRS. So Ike Turner now really truly officially had nothing, and the only person that was really still anywhere near his corner was Ann Thomas. So they ended up getting married in the year of 1981. They moved into a small apartment and they tried to make a life, but things just was not going right. There's this one story where Ike had left the house for a while and Ann and her daughter were still in the apartment, okay? So anyways, they had a little small dog, right? So the dog was outside and the newspaper man had come by. And then Ann suddenly heard, you know, the dog barking and stuff. And so she goes outside to see what the dog is crying about. And the newspaper man is like busting the dog upside the head, just slapping the dog. And so Ann walks over there, you know, excuse me, why are you hitting my dog? And there was Ann Thomas. Baby, that man had slapped the mess out of her too. So anyways, Ann runs back in the house and she calls Ike, you know, and she's like, this newspaper man just hit me or whatever. But anyways, by the time Ike gets there, the newspaper man is gone. One day he did come back to be at home with Ann and his daughter, and the newspaper man stopped by, and so his daughter is like, Daddy, there go the man that hit mommy. So Ike walks out there and is like, you know, what happened? Did you hit my wife? And so the newspaper man is like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You need to tell your B to watch her mouth. Honey, next thing you know, that man was hopping over a fence trying to get away from Ike, child. Ike pulled out a gun and shot that doggone man in the leg. And so this incident made national headlines, but Ike ended up not having to spend jail time because of this incident. In 1984, Tina comes out with the song, What's Love Got to Do With It? And word on the streets say that contrary to common belief that Ike was jealous of Tina, it's claimed that he was actually hopeful that now that she was shooting up to superstardom and getting her dream, that possibly she could help him. And he waited for her to call and reach back for him, which that's kind of crazy that he was doing that, but he was waiting for her to call and maybe offer him something and to reach back at him and tell him, you know, Ike, you can make it too, but she never did. So word on the streets is that Ike did end up calling Tina, and when she answered the phone, he told her that he loved What's Love Got to Do With It. It was a real hit and he loved the song. And then he told her that, you know, maybe they could work together because he had wrote some kind of play or something like that, some music or something. But anyways, he basically was saying, you know, I think it'll be a good fit for me and you. And the folks say that Tina told him, yeah, Ike, that sound like a real good idea, Ike, sound like a real good idea, click, and then hung up on him. And even though most people felt like, man, she doing Ike dirty, like she ain't gonna never call him again, that Ike remained hopeful that, you know, she'll call back. She'll call back, and again, she never did. Then in 1986, Tina ends up writing her memoir, Tina. Word on the streets is that a lot of people that were in Ike's circle were upset about that and felt like, Ike, you need to say something, man. Like, she's trying to ruin your character. She ain't really telling the full story. You need to say something. But gossip claims that Ike did not say anything. In fact, it said that he told people, man, no, I think she's just trying to get sympathy to boost her career. And then, man, after what I put her through, the least I could do is just be a scapegoat. Oh, well, she said this about me. If it's going to help her career, the least I can do is let her make it, and then, maybe she'll pull me up. Then in January of 1990, Ike was convicted of cocaine intoxication and driving under the influence of cocaine. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. However, he ended up getting out in 18 months on parole. After this jail sentence, Ike was clean and he was ready to get his life back. He was ready to get his career back, and he honestly thought that he had the perfect vehicle to do this. See, Ike had gotten a letter from Disney that there was about to be a movie made based on the life of Tina Turner, and he would be in this movie too. So basically based on the life of him as well. So Ike is figuring that this movie is going to mirror his life with Tina exactly. And he knew that he was not going to look the best in this movie, but he felt like, he would be able to explain away his faults. Because he did have faults, because he did do certain things, and he felt like he was going to explain those faults away. And after he explained those faults away, Ike Turner could get back on the scene. So when Disney sent him a check for $45,000 and told him, all you have to do is sign this line, and by signing this dotted line, what you're telling us is that we can get any actor that we want to portray you. And it's very possible that this letter also mentioned something about taking liberties with how they portrayed his life. I'm not sure about that. So Ike took the check. He took the money. He was grateful to have money. And once again, he banked on the movie, portraying it like it really was. He was so excited about the movie that while it was shooting, he drove up to the set, talked to Laurence Fishburne, even taught Laurence Fishburne how to walk like him, just because he wanted to be portrayed accurately. And he thought it was so cool that he was about to get his life story told in a movie. Baby, that movie came out and Ike was sitting front and center with a smile on his face, and when that movie was over, gossip claims something inside of Ike broke. He couldn't believe what he was seeing on screen. It's claimed that what he was seeing on screen was not his life at all. It was not him. Not only was it not him, it was not his little Anne. It was not his anime. It was not his Tina. Said when he saw the rape scene, he started telling people, I didn't rape nobody. I would never rape anybody. I'm not a rapist. I don't have to rape nobody. I don't rape people. Just basically trying to stutter off at the mouth. Just nervous almost. What am I watching? Like, couldn't believe it. And I'm not exactly sure if he saw this movie in the theater or at home, but gossip claims his reaction was that. It was almost like he was disturbed. And he also could not reconcile the fact that this was little Anne. This was Tina. This was his best friend. This was little Anne. This was who he grew with. What? Out of all their history, all the time they had together, the love that they had. No, he was not in love with her, but he loved her. He loved her as a person, as a friend, as whatever it was. That's what he loved her as. How could she do this to him? But word on the streets is that Ike still did not snap at this moment. Gossip claims that Ike really didn't get upset or snap until he found out that the little job contracts that he had, the little gigs that he was booking, stopped booking him. Basically, whenever his manager tried to call and say, hey, we still on for whatever, these people would tell them that Ike Turner, nobody in the world wants to see him. No, Ike Turner, no, he doesn't have a job with us anymore. So he started losing whatever little money he was getting. And that is when Ike finally got angry, because he felt like, I don't deserve this title. I don't deserve this. I may deserve something, but this ain't it. So with all of this happening, Ike became desperate, and this is when he started doing public interviews to try to clear his name. And this is how that interview that I was talking about earlier came about, as well as some of the other interviews he did. And again, these interviews would be a disaster. And then there was this one interview where they had Ike on one screen and Tina Turner on another one, and Ike would try to tell his side of the story, and instead of Tina saying anything, she would say little clever things like, ooh, I don't want to start an argument with Ike Turner over the telecom, or whatever she said in that interview. You know what I'm saying? She would never really say the stuff that she said in the book or in that movie or whatever in front of his face, and gossip claims it's because she knew that a lot of the stuff that she claimed had happened and the way that it had went down, it did not go down like that. So basically, per gossip, she did kind of leave this man out to dry. And most people cannot figure out if it was for the money or if she was finally getting some get back at the fact that Ike would never treat her the way that she wanted to be treated. Whatever the case, though, like I said, the damage was done. So Ike Turner was essentially finished. Tina Turner had won, and gossip claims that not only did this leave a bad taste in Ike Turner's mouth, it left a bad taste in the mouth of some of the people that knew them both, that had been around them both. And some people who just kind of knew who Ike was. You know what I'm saying? You had stories like where Ike, his stepfather used to beat on him, right? Well, even though his stepfather used to beat on him, Ike took care of that man until he died. And those are the people mostly today, when you ask them about it, they'll tell you straight up, I ain't got nothing for Tina. After the early 1990s, when Ike pretty much became the most hated man on earth, he kind of just slinked back into the shadows. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing he could do. Nobody would hire him. And then it's said that he had already lost confidence in himself anyway once Tina had left. Well, once all this happened, he definitely lost all kind of confidence in himself. I know he and Ann Thomas, I believe, divorced maybe in 1991 or something like that. I think as soon as he got out of prison from those 18 months. And if I'm not mistaken, really the only people that he was really hanging around or close to him were his children. And there is a lot of gossip on the street that says Ike has a lot of outside children, honey. But out of the children that Ike supposedly claimed, there are 6 of them altogether. And that is including his son Craig Turner, because he adopted him after Raymond Hill abandoned Tina and Craig. Now, I do know that in 1995, he married Jeanette Basil, and she became his lead vocalist. And I'm not sure if he was trying to kind of revive a sort of Ike and Tina type thing, but if he was, Jeanette was no Tina Turner, so that didn't really go anywhere. They got divorced in 2000, but even after that, Jeanette was very vocal about being very upset that that movie destroyed Ike. She said that she and Ike did have bad times. He was not perfect, but he never was what they portrayed in that movie. In 2006, he ended up marrying another singer named Audrey Madison, and she actually had sang as an Ikeette, I believe, when he was married to Jeanette, and she worked her way up the line, and she ended up becoming his lead vocalist. And like I said, he ended up marrying her. But apparently Ike felt like this marriage was not right for him, or something wasn't right to him, because it's claimed that 2 months later he filed for a divorce. However, in 2007, right before he passed away, he and Audrey ended up reconciling. And then some years later, after Ike's death in 2016, Audrey ended up writing her own memoir called Love Had Everything to Do with It. And in this memoir, she also says that Ike Turner abused her, but she says that she feels like it's because he had unresolved like bipolar or schizophrenia or something like that. So yeah. Now, on top of Jeanette, Audrey, and Tina Turner, gossip claims that Ike was possibly married at least like 12 more times on top of that, with his first marriage happening when he was only 14 years old. In 2006, Ike released an album called Rising with the Blues, and he finally got some sort of recognition with this album. In fact, in 2007, for this album, Ike Turner finally won a Grammy, and his speech was pretty dang on emotional. He was just grateful. When he got up there, not many people clapped for him. It seemed like they had him on a backstage so a lot of people wouldn't see him, but Ike didn't let any of that bother him. He got up there, he made his speech, he thanked everybody. I think he got choked up and almost cried, and I think there's actually a performance on YouTube where he did cry. Then on December the 12th, 2007, Ike Turner ended up dying of a cocaine overdose. It appears that after he got out of jail in 1991, when he was clean and ready to start his life over, that movie ended up coming out, and just all the negativity and problems for that, it seems like it dampened Ike's resolve to stay clean and make something of himself because the road got tough. So it seems to me that he just got back on the drugs and just ended up going down a downward spiral, and like I said, ended up passing away in 2007. He was 76 years old.
Hi everybody, so we are at the end of our Ike Turner scandal video, and I just want to make a note to remind everybody to keep in mind that this story was totally from Ike's point of view, okay? And I say that because me, myself, honestly, I truly believe that the truth is somewhere down the middle. I don't think either side was being completely honest, and so that's basically just I don't know. I just wanted to remind you guys that this story was told from Ike's point of view. So, just kind of keep an open mind on both sides. And also, everything is alleged from his video as well as Tina's video in the first place. So, once again, child, the truth is probably down the middle. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time.
Oh, and if you enjoyed this, please like this video. It will help me so much. Also, if you are new here and you have not subscribed, baby, what is you waiting for? Come on, be a part of this Said So Squad and Scandalized family. Then click the doggone subscribe button, doggone it. Love you guys. Bye.